Hello students, this is Mrs. Dietz and I'm going to show you how to put your creation myth or your trickster tale into MLA format, okay? So I have an example of a creation myth that Ben Bustamante did last year for the class, okay? The first thing I want to show you is what the highlighting looks like. So you'll notice that what Ben did was he went through and he highlighted his different examples of the themes in different colors, okay? And he has multiple examples of each one, okay? And he uses the colors, and then he has his legend at the end. All right. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to put the font in Times New Roman. We want everything on the page to be Times New Roman, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my cursor, and I'm going to go here to select. I want to select all because I want everything to be Times New Roman, and then I'm going to select Times New Roman in the font, okay? The next thing I want to do is I want to change the font size to size 12. So what I did was I left everything selected and I changed it to size 12, okay? Okay. Now, we want to add in what's called a header. So right now, you'll notice Ben has his name on the right-hand side of the paper. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put my cursor in front of his name, and I'm going to change it by going up here to align text left to the left side. So the first thing is we want his name to be up there in the top left-hand corner. The next thing we want is the name of the course. So this is American Literature, and then honors students, yours will say American Literature Honors, okay? If you're in the standard class, yours will say American Literature. Okay, the next thing we want is the name of the instructor or instructors. So it's either going to be Mrs. Dietz or Mrs. Dietz and Mr. O'Connor, or Mrs. Dietz and Miss Cradaville, or if you're in Miss Hogan's class, then Miss Hogan, or Miss Hogan and Mr. O'Connor. Okay, you get the idea. You're going to put either your instructor or all of your instructors right there. Okay, so I'm going to just put Mrs. Dietz and Mr. O'Connor. All right, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put the due date for my paper, for the date, okay? You always want to use the date that your paper is due. Now, everyone's paper is due on a slightly different date, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to choose October 5th, 2012. Hang on, October 5, 2012. All right, you'll notice I wrote out the whole date, okay? We do want to write out the date. Okay, now another element of MLA formatting is double spacing. So one thing we want to do is we want to go select all, then I'm going to go up here to paragraph. You'll notice where it says paragraph, there's a little box with an arrow in it. Okay, I'm going to click on that box, and then what I'm going to see is line spacing. I'm going to change the line spacing to double, and I'm also going to click this box, I want to see the check mark in it, for don't add space between paragraphs of the same style. I'm going to click OK. That's going to double space my entire paper. All right. Now, the next thing, you'll notice that Ben has a title, which is great. You should have a title to your paper. The title is going to go in the center. Okay? So move the title to the center. All right, another thing that we want to add are page numbers. So we want to go Insert, Page Number, Top of Page, and then we want plain number 3, okay? Now, in MLA format, you want to put your last name before the page number. So you'll notice when I inserted the page number, it made the rest of my paper gray, and I also have my cursor blinking right here before the number 1. I'm going to type in the last name for the person who wrote the paper, which is Ben Bustamante, okay? And then I'm going to close the header and footer, and you'll notice that on every page I have a page number along with the last name. Okay, so one thing I notice as I'm going through Ben's paper is that some paragraphs are right next to one another, right? There's no space in between. But then when I get down here, he has some spaces in between his paragraphs. We don't want any spaces in between these paragraphs, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of them for him. That's a common habit or a common mistake that many students make. So just make sure that you don't add in those extra spaces in between your paragraphs, okay? Okay, so after you've done those things, all right, your paper will be in MLA format and you will be ready to go. You'll notice there is no space in between my title and my first paragraph. Okay, we don't need those extra spaces there. So you'll go ahead, you'll make your paper like this, and then you'll be ready to go file, save as. You should use your last name and then either Trickster Tale or Creation Myth. Okay, thanks guys.